Hello everyone. Welcome to my first video. Bear with me, I'm gonna do my best. I am planning to show you, so this is not the card I'm making today. If you want to see this card, I can make a video about that. But the reason I'm showing it here is because I wanted to basically do a challenge to use some colors that I don't normally use, as well as trying to find new ways to use supplies that I already have and not have to keep buying more stuff, right? Crafting supplies, art supplies can be really expensive, and it's easy to get sucked down the hole of just buying more and more and more, and you think in order to make something new you need another product, and really you don't. I think if you have just a good modest selection of items, you're just limited by your own creativity. So today I'm going to use again this orange stack that came in an assorted pack of cardstock that I have, and orange is not typically a color that I gravitate to. I find it's just for me a little bit harder to work with, but I do have this stamp set that I purchased from Michael's, and it has some oranges, so I thought this would be a great way to try to use up some of the orange cardstock. I also have a set of orange Pink Fresh die cubes, and I'm going to use that. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 sheet of white cardstock, and this will be my the top part of the card. I will probably end up trimming it down because I want to do a trim again. So just going to keep that in mind, that whatever is on the edge, I will probably lose a little bit of the design, and that's okay. And I think I'm going to use a color scheme of where this one was limited to just the orange and black and a little bit of white. I'm going to bring in, I think, some green. This set has some pretty little sprigs here. I like these. And I'm thinking I'm going to make a patterned background and then have my greeting in the lower right corner with some larger pieces of fruit. Next, I do want to get a set of cubes that's kind of in the like yellow-green color scheme. I don't have those yet, so I'm going to use what I have, which is not dye ink. This is pigment ink. It'll still work. The other thing I might be using today is my Missy tool. I have found this to be so handy. Yes, it's dirty. I used my, I cleaned it. It's clean. It's stained. And there's probably a way to get this off. I've gotten it off before, and maybe it's just, I don't remember how. It might have just been elbow grease, but this is actually the VersaFine ink, and it left a mark the last time I used it. So it's okay. Still usable. Still love the tool. Super handy for getting nice, crisp, clear images that are nice and smooth, and being able to stamp over multiple times the same image. And I have the small one, by the way. This is I think they call it the mini. And honestly, I only ever make smaller cards, so I've found this to be totally sufficient. I think it was, I don't know, maybe another $10, $15, even $20 more for the larger one. And this one has worked for me. So, it really just depends on your use, your end product that you want to make. But I use small cards. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 is typically the size that I make. And I can usually make it work. Sometimes the stamps end up kind of off the edge, but it's worked out so far. So, okay. So first step, I'm going to try to figure out a pattern here that is the wedges, the orange wedges. Could be lime, lemons too, lemon or lime if you wanted, but sticking with the orange theme here. And my sprigs. So I'm going to do a horizontal design. And I think what I'll do is I'm kind of thinking I'm going to put the greeting and the larger slices of orange over top somehow, like, you know, cutting them out and placing them on top. I might use some foam tape. So I'm just going to pattern the whole sheet. So I need to figure out my color scheme and pattern. I have this sheet that I made. This is all the cube inks that I have so far. And I find this super helpful, having swatches, because what you see on the cover of these cubes isn't necessarily what comes out. You can see that. I mean, it's not necessarily an accurate representation. So I like having the swatches. I think that I want the background to not dominate too much. I want it to be softer. So I'm thinking I might go with either this, the apricot, or the clementine. I think I'll go with the clementine. I like this color. And then for the one in front, I might use the persimmon, the larger one with the greeting. Or should I go even lighter? I could do some alternating slices. Let's do a test, you know? Let's do a test on some scrap paper. I want to try the two lighter colors first, and the light green. Really light. And then kind of almost like antique-y, you know? Like an antique tea towel or something, how the colors fade over time. See how that looks. This is starting to look, I think it's I think it's because of the shape of the stamp. It's starting to look a little bit like geometric to me, which is not really what I was going for. But we'll keep going, see if it can, see where we end up. Yeah, it's better with the sprigs. It's still a little bit like, I don't know. You see what I mean? It's kind of like reading geometric to me. I almost wish these two were two separate stamps. You know, I do like the colors. I think this looks good, the color palette. I don't think I'd want to go any darker for a background, but I'm still not too keen on how it's arranged. We'll see. I think I need to have a little more consistency in the spacing, and it's a little too loose over here and a little too tight in here. So let's see. So I know it's more work this way, switching between colors, but I think it's how I'm going to get what I want. That way I can control. That way I can control the spacing a little easier. This is not a card that I'm, you know, speed making, right? You know, to make really quickly. I think that when you are coming up with a new design, at least when I am, I like to take my time. And, you know, that's kind of the creative process for me, is the fun part, is kind of figuring out how to put a design together. And then once I've created a design, then if I wanted to mass produce, so to speak, make multiples of the same card, I've already made I have the design, and then it's easier to just make, it goes a lot faster is what I'm saying when you go to make, when you're working from an established design. And you don't have to, you know, be this particular as I'm being here. I mean, you can just randomly apply, you know, just go for it if you want to, if you don't want to mess around as much. But for me, I enjoy this part of it. So I'm taking my time, and I find that I have better results as well when I do that. So yeah, this is good. I like this. I feel like I have a pretty good sense of how to lay this out now. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my card base. Here we go. And you know what? If it isn't perfect, it's okay. It's okay. It's meant to be fun. But you know what? I'm actually gonna look at this and kind of follow it, and then that'll get me started. Sort of like I would do if I wanted to repeat a design and make multiples of a card. So I'm curious what you all, if anyone is watching this, how you come up with your card designs. Do you spend as much time as I do thinking about how to lay stuff out and kind of planning? Or do you just go for it and how it comes out is how it comes out? Let me know. I'm so curious. Essentially what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get balance. I'm looking for balance in the alternating colors and shapes, and having consistency in the spacing, while also, you know, having balance in terms of the rotation. That's the other thing. Not sure what these are supposed to be. Are they like herbs? Mint? What would you put in a summery drink, you know, like mixed drinks? I don't drink mixed drinks, but I see them where they, you know, they look really fancy and they put the mint leaves, I guess, or other kinds of herbs, and it looks super pretty. So maybe that's what these are supposed to be. When you're watching an art video like this, crafting video, and you see people making a decision, you know, each step of the process, you're making a creative decision. Are you ever screaming, no, don't do that? Do it this way instead. Kind of like a movie where you see somebody walking into a scary, dark room or something, and you're like, no, don't go that way. There we go. Yay! So I'm happy with this. This is gonna get layered like this. And I really like that, actually. I mean, like I said, you know, orange is not a color I would typically gravitate to, but I actually really do like this. So yeah, just kind of push yourself, and you might be surprised at what you can create. All right, so next up, I'm gonna do my sentiment and the larger oranges. What do you think of that? I kind of like that. Kind of off-white. It kind of picks up on the peach fuzz. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I'll make a little tag or circle or something to put here for my sentiment and these oranges. I also have this Merci stamp that is really sweet, that could look cute with the oranges. I used it on this one should I do thank you? Not sure yet. This is where we do a test again on script. So now I'm using the darkest of these cubes. This is the persimmon. Is that too dark? I think it's too dark. That is too dark. Yeah, it's reading more red. So I'm gonna go with the clementine. Yeah, and I'm actually thinking what I'm going to want to do is cut them out and layer them on top of each other. So that's, these I might want to double stamp as well. Now this, because it is a larger image and more filled in, I am stamping multiple times. That's why I broke out the Misty, because I do want to get a really nice, even coverage for the stamped image. I might even stamp it a third time. Ta-da! Oh, you guys, look what I did. I got it wet. Okay, it's okay. These things happen. This is okay. I don't think it'll be too noticeable on the white, I hope. After I did all that work. Might have to cut another piece of the orange though. Okay. I have done this more times than I care to admit, where I have my wet baby white and I place it down and I don't realize that I have placed it on top of my artwork. Actually, before I do that, I kind of wish that I had embossed these. Is it too late? Not really. Although it might change the color. You know, I have noticed with these dye inks, I've tried to emboss, like going over it with Versamark and then embossing with like a clear sparkly embossing powder, and I have found that it changes the color of the ink. So you really need pigment ink. I do have an orange pigment ink. But that's not really the orange I'm going for. So maybe it's okay. All right, I'm gonna cut these out. And I think I want a little bit of white space around the stamped image. Can you see how in the browns here, you would think that espresso is supposed to be the darkest color, but it's not. Gathered Twigs is. I do kind of like that. Yeah, I like the dark brown. Okay. Dark brown it is. Well, gathered twigs. So now I need to figure out my shape. So I want it to kind of be on the card here. So let's do a little sketch and see what shape I should cut out for the, and maybe these pieces, the oranges, maybe they are outside the boundary of the tag. So I could do like tag like this. So I'm actually gonna cut this out because I can kind of see how big I need it to be this way. And I'll use that as my template. So here is my card base. Sadly, I can see that this is a little bit stained, unfortunately. So I think what I'll do when I trim it down then is take it all from this corner, from this side, and I'll lose it that way. I went ahead and trimmed down the card base and or the front of the card, and I was able to get rid of all of that part that was that had gotten wet. I decided to go ahead and use the orange cardstock that got wet because I feel like part of it's covered up. You almost can't tell now that it's dry, and I don't want to waste it. So I also went ahead and used this scrapbook adhesive. Does anybody else have this problem where the backing pulls out like this? Super annoying, but the tape is pretty good. The adhesive, scrapbook adhesive. So I used that to adhere the card base and to attach my two little oranges. I also decided to do kind of like a label style trim on the tag. I think I'm going to use foam tape to adhere the greeting. But before I do that, I think I want to make like a little decorative trim around the tag. And for that, I'm going to use some gold marker. This is a paint marker, extra fine. Found it on Amazon, I think. And it works really well. Be aware that these bleed through paper significantly. So, not super great for journaling or anything where you have a piece of paper where you want to be able to flip it over and not have it bleed through, but works great for this. So I might just do like a little dashed line with some stitching. And I'll use my scrap sheet again just to test this, make sure it's running. There we go. And I apologize for the change in light. I've been at this so long that I am losing daylight, and I had to turn on a light, and so I'm sure you're getting some shadow. I apologize. Maybe I'll just do a solid trim now that I'm thinking about it. You know, with handmade stuff, it doesn't have to be perfect. Lines or, edges are a little bit wonky. It's handmade, right? So it's okay. I think the beauty of it is that it is handmade and it's not cookie cutter. Okay. So now I'm going to add my foam tape and add the tag. Yeah, that'll be good. All I'm just gonna stick this right about here, lower right corner, flush with the edge of the card, the white card, and that's the finished card. So now I will adhere this to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 folded card. And I just buy those pre-cut, pre-made that come with envelopes. You can make your own if you want to buy white cardstock and fold them yourself. You can score them. You could do that. But that's the base. That's the main card for today. Let me know what you think. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.